She said, will you stay with me here in Auschwitz? Either we will live together or we'll die together.
Der Bundestag erinnert in seiner traditionellen Gedenkstunde an die Opfer des Nationalsozialismus. In diesem Jahr hat Tova Friedman als Gedenkrednerin gesprochen. Sie überlebte den Holocaust und emigrierte später in die USA.
Who would have imagined that a child known, I get very emotional, so you have to forgive me, that a child known only his prison number, A 27,633, once designed for death in a gas chamber, would stand here 81 years later before such people as you.
When you think back to your early childhood, what are the first memories that come to your mind?
I think there's so many things, but the ones that I sort of keep with me is when I walked out of Auschwitz with my mother, and we walked together hand in hand. And I remember she said to me, remember, those were her words as we walked out. And in Yiddish, Gedenk. And I do. That's very outstanding because it was the sense of freedom and memory, I was 6.5.
In one of your TikTok videos, you talk about the number tattooed on your arm. Could you tell us the story behind it?
Yeah. You know, one of the worst thing in the world was the hunger. And all of a sudden, they told us to line up. My first thought was, we're getting food. What are we lining up for? Must be something special to eat. So I fought to be ahead of another little girl. So she was older, so she won. So she was ahead of me. And then when we arrived to the front, I said, oh, there's no food. No, there was a lady sitting there. She must have been about 18, Jewish lady. And she said, give me your hand. And then I saw a inkwell. They had ink, and like a pen. It looked like a pen with a little, needle on it. And she said, "I'm going to give you a number." This is what her words to me. She said, because you're so young, I'm going to give you a very neat number. It's not very big. The numbers are going to be small. So if you survive, you can get a long sleeve shirt and nobody will know what happened to you. That's my first thought was, oh, I'm going to survive. So she put, and she started doing it, and I remember watching. So it wasn't that painful. I was more interested in watching it. And when it was done, she took it from a list. She had a list of names and numbers. When it was done, she said, now say it. But I couldn't say it because I didn't know what it was. So she said, I have to teach you because this is from now on, if somebody calls that number, you have to say here, but you have to know the number. So she proceeded to teach me. And I remember she was very kind. And when she did it, her hand was shaking. So I said to myself, this lady doesn't like what she's doing. I was almost 6 by then because I had my 6th birthday in Auschwitz. So it's very memorable, that one episode, because of her kindness. And then she said, take a rag, put it in cold water, and then press it. Don't rub. If you rub, it'll swell, it'll hurt. Press it hard, and it won't hurt that much. So that's always stuck in my memory. And after she finished all the children, about 50, 60 of us, she was killed. She finished her job. That was the end of the war. All of a sudden, my mother comes into the barrack. I didn't recognize her because she just didn't look like the person I remember as my mother. She convinced me because she knew my name. And she said, look, you hear all the shooting outside. We heard terrible shooting and dogs barking. They are rounding up people to go to Germany, to walk to Germany. She said, look at my feet. Look how swollen they are. They were full of pus. She said, I can't walk. and I'm going to die on this march, and you may survive. I don't want you to survive in this world by yourself. This is not a world for children. She said, will you stay with me here in Auschwitz? Either we will live together or we'll die together. I said, I want to be with you. I was so relieved to see her. She took me by the hand and we snuck out of the barrack, and she found a place where they were like a hospital without doctors, but just a lot of women lying in bed. And she went from corpse to corpse, from bed to bed, till she found a corpse that she liked. She told me to climb in, and she told me how to behave. She covered up with a blanket so that only the corpse was visible, and I was hidden I intermingled my body with the corpse. And she says, no matter what you hear, don't get uncovered. Only I will uncover you. And that's how I survived.
You started a TikTok channel with your grandson. What does it mean to you to share your story?
First of all, to do something with my grandson means a lot, because it's the third generation. My daughter is the second, and this is the third, because we were always wondering, I was wondering, and many Holocaust survivors, who's going to tell our story after we're gone? There are very few of us left. And here, it was his idea completely. I never heard of TikTok. And it was just, it's wonderful, the way we reach so many people. What concerns me most right now is the anti-Semitism. I can't believe that after all of these years, we're in a position where we have to defend ourselves and being attacked. I don't know by what. So my message is, anybody who wants to see a better life for themselves and their children have to be there to fight this terrible menace, I would call it, of anti-Semitism, because hatred to one group is contaminating. It'll contaminate other groups. It's never in one group. That's how it started in the 30s, that all the young people who are moral and want to see a better world have to sort of fight this plague that I call a plague. And they should sort of they should think of themselves as trying to leave this world a better place than they found it. To everybody, you know.